What do I do with my hands? Does anybody know? What? I don't remember how to do this. You know what? Fuck it. We'll do it live. We'll figure it out on the fly. Here we go. Welcome back to the Den of Nerds. I am Josh, and we have a great show for you today. I didn't know if that was going to happen. Honestly, did not know if that was going to be a thing. Just got back from my trip. Give me a second here. Yeah, I literally don't remember how to stream. Just got back from my trip, literally within an hour. And there's just, the trip was awesome. Let me just say that, first of all. The trip was freaking awesome. I'll talk a little bit about it at the end of this stream before we get into Q&A. Trip was great. Can't talk about everything. I'm still under NDA until the 6th, which is a thing. I think I told you guys it would be sooner. So my bad. It's not until the 6th, and I'll talk more then. But the trip was freaking awesome, man. But of course, news was dropping like crazy. I mean, we kind of predicted it, right? So if you were there on Tuesday, when I did the little pre-recorded stream, I had brought up that there was crazy news coming out, and dude, wow, is there crazy news? So we got a lot to talk about. For today, in this stream, we're going to focus on two main things, okay? Two of the most important movies, dare I say, of our time, but certainly of the year for the comic book movie genre, right? I'm talking about Superman. I'm talking about Fantastic Four. Both of these films had screenings this week. Actually, I think technically Fantastic Four had a screening. Superman might be having a screening tonight or might be having a screening really soon. So yeah, that's absolutely insane. And there's a lot of information that came out about both of these screenings. And so that's what I want to focus on. Man, I can't believe all this shit dropped when I was away. Should have probably known. But nonetheless, I do have a lot to say about this. Sorry, I'm literally trying to adjust stuff on the fly here. I looked down at the timer and I was like, oh my God, I'm 3 minutes late and I still don't even know what to do or how to stream. So we're figuring it out. But yeah, so that's what we got to talk about, man. We're going to talk about Superman. We're going to talk about Fantastic Four. And I think it's going to be a good discussion. We're not going to go into spoilers. I know there's a lot of spoilers out there. And I've seen them all. I'm going to do a video, by the way. I want to do a video where I break down the post-credit scene spoilers for Fantastic Four. And to be honest with you, I'm so excited to do that. I'm really excited to talk about it. But I want to try to go no spoilers for this one. So we're going to talk no spoilers on Superman, no spoilers on Fantastic Four. But there's plenty to get into because, particularly with Superman, there's some wild reporting out there. We'll break it down, and I think actually it's going to surprise you guys because, well, I'll just say it. I'm actually excited about these changes to Superman, and so I'm actually not going to be very negative on this. However, there are some people being pretty negative about it, so I am going to cover that, and I do want to sort of be fair to all the different narratives that are out there, but I actually think it's good news. I think it's, frankly, good news for both films, but the Superman stuff, I guess, is potentially more negative, and also because we don't actually have they didn't actually have the screening yet, we're not really sure how that shakes out. So frankly, I might do a whole thing today where I'm sort of gushing about Superman and liking a lot of the changes, and then we might find out tonight that the screening happened and everybody hated it or something. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but that's what's on the agenda for today, guys. We'll talk Superman. We'll talk Fantastic Four. We'll do it no spoilers. And then we'll break it at Q&A. And I'll talk a little bit about my trip as well. And, yeah, no, I definitely missed you guys. I'm glad to be streaming. I'm glad that there's news. And I'm actually also, I'm really glad that, dude, I'm actually really excited for Fantastic Four. Some of the stuff I've heard about Fantastic Four is, sounds really freaking hype for me. So, we'll get into it all. we shall get into it all. All right. All right. I guess we should start with Superman. All right. How to set this up? Well, all right. Before we specifically talk about Superman, let's set the table and let's just talk about the thing we all already know, but it's definitely worth repeating. These are massive movies. This is a really important moment for both Warner Brothers and Marvel. You know, maybe about a year ago, around the time of Deadpool and Wolverine, I might have told you that I thought it was more of a big deal for DC. I mean, given what's on the line for Warner Brothers, given where their company is at currently, like financially, I would have told you a year ago, there's more pressure on Gunn, there's more pressure on DC. It's kind of do or die for them, and Marvel will probably be okay. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine had just made $1.3 billion or whatever, and we were like, okay, yeah, X-Men coming, Downey just got announced as Doom. But of course, you know, you look at what has happened to Marvel since then, and it just doesn't feel like we've been completely corrected. And I will say, too, as an interesting side note to this, there's, of course, like the evidence for it. Thunderbolts, you know, still not doing well in theaters. Brave New World losing money. For whatever reason, there was a report this week while I was gone about Daredevil not charting at all, which, of course, it didn't, but we've known that for a long time. For whatever reason, it popped off as news this week, too. So you look at Marvel's numbers, and you're like, damn, like that's actually like a much crazier drop-off than I thought we would get, right? But on top of that, man, I'll just tell you guys, I can't, like, again, there's some stuff I can't say about what I did, but I was around a lot of nerds, and I was around a lot of content creators, and like basically the perfect target demo that like Marvel wants, the people that Marvel want to be excited about their shit, going to see the movies and whatnot. And I gotta tell you, man, like it was a little shocking for me to hear some of these dudes be like, oh yeah, I haven't even seen a movie since No Way Home. I was like, what? Like, you know what I mean? And man, you think some of us had problems with some of the MCU shows? Whoa, dude. And the thing is, these guys are not normies either. Like, they're nerds. They might not be as plugged in specifically to the MCU as we are. Like, we're kind of niched down in the sense that we, I just know shit. I'm, like, really plugged in on the MCU. I'm paying attention to all this stuff, and I have certain sources and whatnot. So that's kind of like our thing. And it was a little shocking to see that a lot of people that you would definitely consider nerds, that I absolutely guarantee went through all the Infinity Saga movies and did Endgame and all that, they have fallen off in a way that is a little shocking. And I guess you can kind of see it in the numbers, right? Like you can kind of see it in the numbers where these dudes that trust me, they'll be there for the big ones, but they're not gonna just show up for everything anymore, and that's kind of obvious. So with that being said, it brings us to this place where Fantastic Four and Superman are really, really important, not just for each individual company, which, whoa, like that's a whole thing. It's really important for each of these companies. But this is potentially really important for the entire space of comic book movies. I don't think Marvel is going away. I don't think DC is going away. I think we are living in an age where that kind of IP is very valuable, and you can have that IP work in multiple mediums and in multiple ways to make the company money and to have customers engage. But at a time when, like, you know, cinema seems to be on rocky ground, I think the serious question is, what is happening to comic book movies, specifically in the movie theater, when it comes to the movie theater? Because they'll still drive culture. They will still drive a ton of views on all of these streaming platforms, digital, etc. But will they continue to be these massive pop culture moments that you literally go see in the theater? I mean, you think about, man, I don't know why this popped up on my feed, because, like, you know, I was flying a lot over the past couple of days, and I saw on Twitter, and I totally forgot about this, but there was a dude that passed out after the end of Infinity War. Do you guys remember that headline? I remember reading that back in the day, too. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, I get it, man. That shit was shocking. And then when I saw Infinity War, I remember after the ending and the snapping and all that, dude, it did feel like the air was sucked out of the room, and it was like really shocking. So I don't know. It's just funny that like we used to be, it used to be so culturally relevant that it felt like everybody was seeing these movies, and people were literally passing out after the ending, and it was making the news, and you're like, oh, dude, Infinity War is so fucking crazy. People are passing out and stuff, right? So obviously things are just way different now. Will we ever get back to anything even close to that? That is the question specifically with the movie. So, you know, you're lining up summer. You've got Superman. You've got Fantastic Four. I think what the audience wants is good movies, and we want these things to be successful. What the companies want is for it to be successful, and if it's good too, that's also a plus, I guess, from their perspective. I'm teasing a bit, but you know, they definitely need the success more than they need the critical acclaim. That's what the Thunderbolts' point is, right? So, damn, a lot's on the line. The temperature's up. I'm talking about literally in this room. It's hot in here, but it's also up for these companies. Okay? So, with all of that being said, let's talk about some stuff that came out about Superman. Then we'll talk about some stuff that came out about the Fantastic Four. Now, this, I need to throw some caveats out here, okay? And I want to try to be responsible here. This dude is getting flamed for this article right now. I don't even think this article is very out of pocket. I think it's pretty even-handed, but I do just want to put a disclaimer out there that this report got a lot of people really mad. And we're going to sort of circle back to this point in a little bit here. But there's something weird going on with Superman where it feels like there's this whole contingent of fans that are treating Superman completely differently than a lot of other movies and are really blind to some of the potential things that could be going wrong with this film or to the complications that might be happening with the production of this film. And it's weird because like there have been various people throughout this process that have reported on this, right? Like Jeff's reported on this a little bit. I've certainly heard things, and I've not been shy about talking about what I've heard. But it's like every time somebody hears something and then reports it, they get like dogpiled. And it really does create this weird environment of like, I don't know, it almost feels political or whatever, you know? And people want to like be on one side or the other and defend it, this, that, second, and third. Guys, like, I'm just going to report it straight, okay? So I'm gonna just go through the article, but I do want to say, not everybody that has seen this screening, not everybody that's plugged in, not all of the insiders agree with this reporting. Okay? So with that being said, I hope I covered my ass enough. Let's check this out. Superman faced major changes after test screenings, reshoots, less humor, shorter runtime, new editor, and composer. Now, that is a hell of a headline, I will say. That is a hell of a headline. And so I think it's fair that some people were like, bro, what? But anyway, let's read on. After today's reveal of the Superman runtime, the real story might be what's happening behind the scenes. I started asking around and uncovered that the road to release has been anything but smooth for DC Studios' flagship reboot. Tensions are high at Warner Bros., where CEO David Zaslav and DC Studios leads James Gunn and Peter Safran are scrutinizing every frame to avoid another franchise misfire. So, look, I'm just going to stop for a second here. So far, this does not actually, like, this lines up with a lot of stuff we've heard. You know, we've been reporting about this. You know, not a lot of people wanted to talk about the bad screening, you know, and Jeff got a lot of shit for being one of the first people that talked about it. But it does feel like there was reporting about a bad screening late last year. I speculated that was why he canceled the CCX appearance, right? So far, nothing crazy. Sources close to the production say the film received a mixed reception at an earlier test screening, triggering a cascade of changes. Gunn's original cut apparently leaned heavier on humor, something the execs weren't entirely sold on. In response, several comedic beats were cut, trimming down both tone and runtime. More intriguingly, one of the film's editors was quietly removed mid-process, leading to a slight rework of the film's structure. This was somewhat of a tweak and signaled a slight shift in how the story was being presented. Some key sequences were shuffled, and minor scenes were added during recent reshoots, okay? So, again, this lines up, this tracks. We have other reports from good people that we've talked about that corroborate a lot of this stuff, okay? Now, maybe they weren't as specific as he's being here in the reporting. And I will also say this editor thing, that is kind of new. I did not hear about a new editor coming in, and I will be honest, that's not a good sign. Like, that's never a good sign, to be honest with you. So that's a little bit weird. Let's keep going, though. The music department wasn't spared either. A second composer was brought in late in the game to reshape the score, suggesting the tone may have been in flux as recently as a few weeks ago. Okay, now that's a little weird. That's a little weird. Okay. It's all part of what one insider described as slight course correction. Now, okay. So is it a slight course correction or not? You know what I mean? Because it kind of feels like we're getting a little mixed messages here. He goes on to say, although about 25 minutes of footage have been trimmed out of earlier versions, giving the final cut a leaner feel, the adjustments hint at the studio anxious to get it right, especially with this being the first major installment of the rebooted DC universe. The last test screening is set to happen this week. Whether these 11th hour changes will pay off remains to be seen, but there's a tad more confidence now that the finished product, which is officially in the can, turns out to be a great film. Okay, now to add to the validity of this report, there's an insider that we've covered from time to time called Viewer Anon. Viewer Anon also corroborated this. There were multiple other insiders that corroborated this across Reddit, Twitter, etc. So it does seem like this is real. Okay, so let's kind of go through it. Humor toned down, okay? Again, we talked about this. I think it makes sense. Now, I will add one small detail to this, and this is potentially spoilery, and I know I said we weren't going to do spoilers, but this is potentially spoilery. I'm only bringing it up because I'm fairly confident that it has been removed from the film. What I'm talking about is the super shit leak. We talked about this. We might have even talked about this on stream. And I don't remember exactly, but I might have even said, as justification for talking about it on stream, I was like, dude, I want them to remove this. So I kind of made a big stink of it, okay? So, yeah, super shit. How to explain this? Apparently, there was going to be a thing where the people of Earth are going to turn on Clark, right? And you've seen it in the trailer. The one guy throws a beer can at him, which, by the way, one of the changes you can see right away for yourself between the first trailer and the second trailer is in the first trailer, David flinches when he gets hit with the can. That has been removed in the second trailer. He makes no reaction to it whatsoever. So they must have got some notes, or maybe they heard some feedback online that felt weird, that he would flinch with the can. But like, that's just one small example. They have changed that from trailer 1 to trailer 2. But we did hear that super shit rumor was real. There's another side to this that is potentially about mutant monkeys being used as a bot farm by Lex Luthor. Now, look, maybe this is still in there. Maybe the super shit element was taken away. Maybe there's still bot farms. I don't really know. But the reason I bring this up is when the super shit rumor first broke, Viewer Anon was saying that it's real and it's also one of his favorite jokes. And in the Reddit post that he made over the past couple of days, he said they removed some of this humor, including one of my favorite jokes. Okay? And hey, mods, you're earning your pay today because I see the bots coming in and I appreciate you taking care of them. We're just got a deal. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I mean, we all know why, but it is what it is. We're just gonna have to push through. So because Viewer Anon said that, I'm kind of hoping that they removed it. Hopefully, please for the love of God. But just in general, there were other things I heard about this film that I was like kind of annoyed by. Now, I've always said, and I've always tried to be fair, that, you know, Gunn has his style. He has his sensibility. I think it's like juvenile. It's infantile. And sometimes it can be funny. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't like Peacemaker. I didn't really like his Suicide Squad because it's just like too much for me. But I like the Guardians movies, particularly the first one. So, you know, I can handle some of it. I like some of the Gunn stuff. But for Superman, it didn't feel right. And some of the things I heard, I was like, including super shit, for sure. But other stuff too, you know? And I'm like, I don't know about that. Well, according to the reporting, again, from multiple insiders, the jokes have been removed. There's a lot of jokes that have been removed from the film, and I think that's good. I think that's good. Now, let's talk about the editing. Man, this one's kind of hard to spin in a positive way, but I will say that from what I understand, from what I've heard, the film has a weird structure. It is almost more like an anthology of small stories than it is a straight narrative. Okay? And that sounds weird for sure, but with the right framing, that can work, okay? So that was something we heard. That was something we heard very, very early on. I'm trying to be vague, you know what I mean? I'm trying to keep it as vague as possible. But I know for sure that was also something that people at Warner Brothers were like, man, I'm trying to be so fair here, but I think that the truth is, and this is what I've heard, and it really feels like after we have this new information that this is actually what it was. Man, some people did not like that first cut, guys. Like that's just what it is. There were some people within Warner Brothers that like just really did not like this first cut, and I think that's pretty obvious now. Right? So, restructuring, small tweaks. Is this because you notice in the article, it uses language like changing scenes around. And you might be like, what? You can't just do that. But if it's like more of an anthology kind of thing, you can do that, actually. So, it seems like it's keeping its form. It's not like they were like, bro, you need this to just have a fucking narrative. Superman saves this thing. What the hell? Like, I don't think that's what it is. But it was more like, hey, how can we make this perhaps a little bit more straight? And you know, we don't love this maybe jumping around. Or they did think jumping around made it flow better. It's hard to say for sure. But the thing with the editor is, like, it's tough a little bit. I didn't look too far into this. Like there would be some things that would be shocking about this. For instance, like if this is an editor that Gunn worked with a lot and he got quietly let go, that unfortunately implies Warner Brothers really putting the squeeze on James. I didn't even look into that enough. Maybe that'll come out. If that's what this is, that's tough. That would really imply that Warner Brothers is squeezing hard. I mean, I think at this point they're squeezing either way. But I think what Gunn would tell you is this is like, because this is the line from Warner Bros. They're going to be like, this is normal. This is what you do when you make a movie. The truth is that, I mean, that's half true. That's half true. This is what you do when you make a movie that like you have to live in or die by. Like this is what you do when you make a movie that is so important to the corporation that like there are certain sensibilities. It's commercial art. And I'm sure Gunn is no stranger to the confines and the constraints of commercial art. You know what I mean? Like, I'm absolutely positive that he understands that. So in his mind, and hopefully this is actually just what it is, it's possible this is just like sort of the way you play ball as a artiste, you know, because Gunn is the writer-director. He's also the president of the company. So, like, he has to wear that hat and he has to take those considerations. You know, maybe that's Safran is sort of there as the voice of reason to help Gunn across because, you know, all filmmakers have ego, you know, and especially if you're the writer, director, and president, I'm absolutely certain he probably didn't want to change this thing. But if it's a team effort, you know, they're putting millions of dollars on the line, you know, Warner Brothers, their company could live or die by this. Like, of course, you gotta make some concessions. And so in a certain sense, from a certain angle, you could consider all of this normal insofar as it's a really important movie, and movies are hard to make, and when you got a lot on the line, like, yeah, dude, you gotta play ball, and you gotta tweak, and you gotta make compromises, okay? So it absolutely could be being blown out of proportion. That's what I'm trying to say, and I'm trying to be fair. But here's the other side of this. I think it's also true that if this was a Marvel movie, people would be shitting on it so hard for having these problems. Gunn did sort of scare away the press, and he has scared a lot of people from wanting to report on this in any kind of meaningful way. And that's a shame, because it makes it so we can't authentically know for sure what's going on. Are there a lot of people that know what's going on and they just don't want to get gunned down on social media or whatever? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the weird spot we're in. And I think that if this was a Marvel movie, if we're about to talk about Fantastic Four, right? And if I were reporting to you guys that Fantastic Four brought in a new composer 2 weeks ago and fired an editor quietly, like, let's be real. Like, the chat would be like, we're cooked. It's over again. You know what I mean? And Twitter damn sure would be. Twitter would be going crazy, okay? So, I think it's fair to say that, like, dude, the Superman movie is weird in the sense that, like, a lot of people are just defending it. A lot of people are turning a blind eye to what they would probably talk a lot about if it was a Marvel movie. So there is something weird going on with that, and that's kind of weird and strange, right? Now, I want to say, to sort of just wrap it all up, because again, this screening is, I would say it's either happening tonight or tomorrow night, I would assume. I guess they could do it over the weekend, but they probably don't want to do that. So I would assume the actual screening of this new cut, which is probably damn close to the final cut. Like, Gunn is technically saying, like, if you notice online recently, James said the 202-minute thing is not true. I think the reason he can get away with that is because I think he knows the movie's still changing. He's not necessarily saying that, but, like, dude, if this screening goes really badly, they will change it again, 100%, and they should. Like, we don't have to play this weird game where we're, like, adding all this judgment to it. Like, at the end of the day, I want a really good fucking Superman movie. If this screening is bad, then they should make last-minute changes. They should work right up till the last minute and make sure it is as good of a movie as it possibly can, okay? But I'm going to be honest with you. To me, this feels like a dream come true. This feels like exactly the stuff I want to hear. Now, I'll throw one caveat in there before I, like, gush about this stuff, because, like, I actually think this is awesome. One problem, though. There's some people that are categorizing this as they just had to lean into nostalgia because, like, Gunn made a Gunn Superman, and then they were like, no, and, like, stripped out all that shit, and then they had no choice but to just lean on nostalgia. I'm not necessarily framing it that way, but I do want to acknowledge that that's a narrative out there. And if that's true, that could go a bad way, man. That could go a bad way. That could end up not being good. But I like nostalgia. I'm kind of a sucker for that shit. So, like, nostalgia Superman, you know, nostalgia Donner, which, by the way, doesn't that make you wonder? Isn't it kind of interesting that McQuarrie made those comments about the nostalgia play? That's a small town, Hollywood. Like, he probably, I mean, he could potentially be aware of exactly what is going on with Gunn Superman, but that's just my speculation. But I think, frankly, if you're telling me that Warner Brothers is like, hey, James, no super shit. Hey, James, no, that joke, no, that joke, no. Also, we need to play heavier into nostalgia, and we need to restructure this a bit so it's a little bit more understandable. I mean, all of that sounds fantastic to me. My biggest concerns was the James Gunn humor, like, frankly. So if they're putting the squeeze on that and the kibosh on that and they're kind of pulling it back, oh, man, like, dude, I kind of love it. Like, to me, I'm like, hell yeah. And, you know, when I saw the footage at CinemaCon, dude, that was what finally started to win me over on the movie. I did not like that first trailer, man. And the footage and the vibes of what you get at CinemaCon that felt good, you know? And so if that's what they've sort of turned the movie into, or rather, if that's the tone they're just going to lean into for the film, like, I'm about that life. I think that could actually be great. So, you know, you're going to have to decide for yourself. And as you've seen in chat, right, there's a lot of people trying to claim this is like the end of Gunn and it's all over. And I'm not going to lie, like, it is potentially bad news. It's definitely news. It's definitely worth talking about. And it is weird that nobody wants to, like, tell the truth about what's happening with Gunn's Superman. But there is also this other side, guys, that's totally fair and real as well. And that is that, dude, it's hard to make fucking movies. And this is a big deal. And they should compromise. They should change it. Now, you know, new composer, new editor, sure, little wild, red flags. But ultimately, I guess we're just going to have to see. Like, if it's a good movie, are we going to be mad that they tweaked it in the 11th hour? Like, I don't really think so. I think what I want the most is a good, fun, and successful Superman movie, because that allows some of these other projects to be successful. It allows you to build out a canon, and it would be great for the space itself. Like, it's not going to be good for Doomsday if Superman bombs. You know, it's not going to be good for the MCU if Superman comes out and it's like whack as fuck. I mean, especially if it's like Guardians whack, because that's Marvel. So, like, if he basically, because this would be really bad. Imagine if Gunn made a really Marvel-y Superman, and it's just like, that is the exact thing that people just are not feeling. And then you further fatigue the Marvel fans about it as well. You know, like, that's potentially just, that's a snowball of like really bad shit. So if they're changing this thing so they can avoid that, hell yeah. Like, that's actually a positive. So those are my thoughts on Superman. I'm sure you got some thoughts yourself, man. When we get into Q&A, we'll break it down. Maybe you got some other things that you want to say. Okay. So, Fantastic Four. Also screening late in the game. Also a bit strange, if I'm being honest. Marvel does not do a lot of public screenings. At least they used to not do a lot of public screenings. So what am I talking about? I want to break this down like a fraction. I want to make it as simple, as easy for you to understand as possible. So the screening is, of course, looking at the film for the first time. It's usually an assembly cut, and that's what it was for this Fantastic Four screening as well. What that means is not finished visual effects, but it's shot for shot an actual final cut with unrendered stuff. So you screen this thing because you want to get the audience reaction. Now, Marvel classically, they do a ton of screening. That's actually why there's so many leaks for Marvel, is because they do a ton of screening. But back in the day, they would screen internally. What I mean by that is these are employees, friends and family of employees. This is all Marvel people. So they roll up and they do, which, by the way, a lot of the time, once a production wraps, you'll get a cut that, like, the VFX department will all assemble and watch a cut, and they'll have like all these different screenings. Okay, but Marvel uses them a bit differently, and they use them for quality control. They use them to remake the films. It's been a part of the Marvel formula. Marvel actually schedules a reshoot period. A lot of you know this, but they literally schedule 3 months of reshoots for every single movie. And if you were to ask them when they roll cameras on day one of principal photography, what are you going to be shooting in the reshoots? They literally don't know. They have this process that's similar to the Marvel Comics formula, where they're going to film it, look at it, make notes, and then depending on what they need, their reshoots could be wildly different, right? Because that's just how they roll. Now, over the past couple of years, due to, I think, declining box office returns, they started doing public screenings of some things. So a couple of movies they did public screenings for, Quantumania, Captain America Brave New World, The Marvels. Those are all movies within the past couple of years that they did public screenings for. So this would be in a big city, in a certain marketplace. You know, I think there's agencies that would probably gather up the people for it. You get an invite, you go to this film, it's an assembly cut, you watch it. I think you're technically NDA'd or something, but everybody breaks that shit anyway. And then you fill out and you give notes on it. Okay. Now, when we were talking about Thunderbolts, when we were leading up to Thunderbolts, one of the things I told you guys about was the fact that Thunderbolts did not have public screenings. So Thunderbolts, they were so high on internally that they didn't feel like it needed public screenings. I took that as a big feather in the cap of Thunderbolts because I was like, damn, like, dude, that's an impressive sort of outlier within the past few years. That's cool. They're very confident in this thing. And they were. And by the way, they should have been because it's fucking awesome, dude. Thunderbolts is an incredible movie. I think potentially top 10 Marvel and just really good. I love that film. So when I heard that Fantastic Four got a public screening, I'm going to be honest. My first reaction was like, oh boy. Like, that's a little tough, right? But here's the thing. Quick sip of coffee here. Hang on. To be fair, I think Thunderbolts changed things for Marvel. And again, not everybody agrees. There's some people in Hollywood that think that Thunderbolts was a success somehow. Well, I'll tell you this, Marvel doesn't. And I think Marvel was so shocked at how badly Thunderbolts is performing that they decided to do a public screening for Fantastic Four very late in the game because they were like, dude, we didn't do this for Thunderbolts. And it's just like, I don't know. It's crazy. So 2 things on that. It could mean that they're either very nervous just in general, or because of Thunderbolts, they're incredibly nervous. As I said at the top, Marvel's in a different spot now, and I think everybody's looking at Fantastic Four and really nervous that it could underperform. Guys, if you think there's a chance now that Fantastic Four underperforms because of Thunderbolt, throw a 1 into the chat. I'm just curious how many of you are out there like that. But I certainly feel that way, and I know a lot of other analysts do as well. Like, it's, yeah. Like, in fact, yeah, there's a ton of 1s in the chat, guys, like if you're on the podcast feed. So I think that's part of it. I think Marvel was like, damn, dude, like, we really need this thing to pop. Let's do a public screening. You know, because I think they're high on the film. From what I understand, they're very positive on Fantastic Four. But again, they were positive on Thunderbolts, and it's like, it just didn't work out for them. So that's part of it. I think another part of it, though, is the leaks. Like, I'm going to be real. I think they wanted the post-credit scene to leak. Okay? Now, I don't want to talk about that right now because it's incredibly spoilery. Here's what I'll say about it right now in the moment. The thing you've heard that's out there, it's probably true, but there's more to it, and I want to explain the whole thing. I also want to explain the other post-credit scene because basically the screening that happened this week had one post-credit scene. And it wasn't the one that I talked about a couple of weeks ago. But I still think the one I talked about a couple of weeks ago is happening. And I need to explain, like, how this is happening, what's going on with Marvel, and also how the post-credit scene sets up Doomsday, because it's nuts, right? But I think that's part of it, the promo, right? So this screening happened. It's an assembly cut, and with the one post-credit scene. And I talked to some people that saw it. And a lot of the insiders, a lot of the scoopers, a lot of the people that are like, you know, influencing the sphere or whatever, they are talking about mixed reactions. Mixed reactions, okay? So nobody's saying that it's bad. Nobody's saying that Fantastic Four is bad. But it is getting accused of being mid. I think there's sort of mixed reactions from like mid to incredible, right? And look, let's be fair about this. That is not what we heard with Thunderbolts. That is not what we heard with Thunderbolts. What we heard with Thunderbolts was like, dude, everybody fucking loves this movie. There were like a few people that went to the screening that didn't like it. But for the most part, like, I'm telling you, it was like 95% of the things we read, 90% of the leaks that came out, people were so hyped up on that shit, okay? Now, I will say this about the test screening results. I think because it's an assembly cut, just hear me out on this, dude, because this is going to be a fucking incredible point that a lot of you guys are not going to appreciate. So listen the fuck up. Okay? Listen up. Unique situation. It's an assembly cut that's public in a movie that's heavily reliant on visual effects. I want you to understand what that means. It is possible a lot of the mid reactions that we're getting are because a lot of public people don't know what the fucking assembly cut is. And it's also damn hard to appreciate a visual movie with unfinished visual effects. Okay? Does that make sense? So I want to be completely fair about this. Yes, there are mixed reactions to the screening. Let's be fair. Let's be real. Just like with Superman, mixed reactions to the test screen. Okay? That's what's out there. However, I also feel like there's a big caveat here, as it is a public screening that's also an assembly cut, which is weird a little bit. And I'll go into it in the leak video too in a little bit more specificity. But that's what it is. Okay, so maybe if you're a person, because I saw some people out there that were like, I don't care about the post-credit scenes. Is it a good movie? Like, are people loving it? And like, it's got to be real. It's not getting the same buzz that Thunderbolts did. So it might not be as sharp, or there might not be as much of a consensus on the movie being incredible. But that's what I can tell you. I will also say that the post-credit scenes, plural, because I do think there will be 2 of them, they're crazy. And they're bigger than any of the post-credit scenes we've had in a long time. Even Thunderbolts, when they had that fan screening, it was like a week before the movie came out. Oh, my God, dude. I remember people were saying like, oh, dude, Thanos is in one of the things. Oh, my God, Doom does this in one of the post-credit scenes. And I was like, holy shit. I like reached out to some sources. I was like, is this real? And they were like, no, dude, none of that's real. Here's what it is. And I was like, oh, that's not as cool. The post-credit scenes for Fantastic Four feel like the kind of scenes that we're going to say, that's not real. Like, they're that good. Okay? And I know some people are like, dude, that's not going to be enough. Like, that who cares? Like, oh, I hate this thing now where we sell movies off post-credit scenes. Yeah, well, fucking guess what? They need hype, dude. Like, they need hype. Like, let's just be honest. With where they are at, what did Thunderbolts not have? Hype. It had everything else. It did not have hype. And it hurt the film, dude. So, Fantastic Four needs hype. And those post-credit scenes are absolutely fucking crazy. Here's another thing I'll say about it. I heard a lot of stuff that's in this movie. A lot of stuff that's not in plot leaks that are out there right now. Which I guess would happen when someone literally sees the whole film, right? But, dude, everything I've heard, like, so it's to the point where it was kind of fucking painful for me just about a minute ago, maybe 2 or 3 minutes ago, where I was trying to say, like, there are mixed reactions. Some people say it's mid. The whole time I was saying that, on the inside, I was like, yeah, but this shit's so cool. This shit's so cool. Because I heard some stuff that's in there, guys. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. Dude. Yes. And ironically, it actually all kind of helps the post-credit scene have more impact. Man, they're cooking with this spoon. For us nerds, man, for you, Jonathan Hickman, Fantastic Four, FF fans, oh, man. It just sounds so cool. Dude, Johnny gets some serious shine in this movie. That's all I'm going to say. He gets some serious shine. Like, y'all ever played D&D? Okay? Y'all ever played D&D, Dungeons and Dragons? When you play Dungeons and Dragons, the Dungeon Master is supposed to do this thing where they give you the spotlight. Okay? So each player needs to get the spotlight a little bit. And you got to find interesting ways to do that. And you want each player, because you want the narrative, for each player to have a cool moment in the narrative, right? And that's like a difficult thing. You got to kind of balance that. Oh, man, I got to say, Johnny gets his spotlight moment. Beautiful. Franklin Richards. Oh, shit. Oh, Franklin, man. Wow. Wow, wee wah. There's some dope Franklin stuff. What else can I say? Mysteries around Doctor Doom may or may not be in the movie, actually. In the actual film, as well as potentially in other things outside of the film, post the film. So, to me, it sounds fucking epic, dude. To me, it sounds epic. So I'm excited about that. You know, I wasn't sure, man. There some of the plot leaks that have come out from Fantastic Four, like they feel a little too, like I don't know. It felt a little too safe. Fantastic Four. And some of the stuff I heard from the screening specifically, I was like, yo, I really like that. I think that's a really cool moment for that character. Oh, they're doing that to that character. Whoa. Oh my God, this character does that. Whoa. Wait, what? That's actually in the movie? By the way, empty chairs. Ah, man, should I say this? Empty chairs. So remember the chair thing that Marvel did with all the chairs? There may or may not be an empty chair in the movie. That's significant. And I wonder if they did that on purpose or if it's just serendipitous. But yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So yeah, so there you have it. There you have it. With regards to Fantastic Four, screening came out. To be completely transparent, yes, there are some mixed reactions to it. Yes, it is a little concerning that they did a public screening. I think more than anything, it speaks to the nervousness of Marvel Studios, which is something I've heard internally as well. You know, they're a bit nervous, and they should be. I mean, I think this is a measurable low point, and that's not to say it's the end, that it's just a low point, and that I think from here it will take up. I think FF, even if it underperforms, is going to outperform Thunderbolts and Captain America. I think it hits 5.6 easily. If it doesn't, we might have to have a different conversation, right? And maybe Marvel is so terrified of that they're like, yo, like public screening, like let them know about that shit, you know. But otherwise, I'm feeling good about the film. I think for us, for our community, dude, we're gonna love it. We're gonna fucking love this movie, especially if you're a Franklin Richards fan. Like, my God. Yeah, that's all I want to say about that. And so that's kind of like the breakdown, man. That's the breakdown of the screening when it comes to Superman, the screening when it comes to Fantastic Four. July is going to be crazy, and a lot of questions will be answered. I think the best case scenario for all of us is that both of these movies make $800+ million. If they both make $1 billion, then I think that would be absolutely incredible. Like, that would legit put a lot of my worries at ease. I think it would put a lot of the company's worries at ease. I think it would be great. And just sort of show the revitalization. Like, we're at this place right now. I saw a great article in Deadline the other day. I didn't read it all, but they were talking about how, like, the superhero movie genre fatigue has been kind of overplayed and people are exaggerating it. And that might well be the case. It's kind of hard because Marvel was the top dog for so long and was truly doing something that, like, it was just record breaking and, like, holy shit. So maybe it just won't be that ever again and it's doing fine comparatively. Maybe it's in a little bit of a lull, but it's going to adjust and remain as an icon institutional part of, you know, movies for a long time. Who's to say for sure? But these two movies are the next piece of the puzzle, and I'm excited for both films. I hope Fantastic Four makes more money so I can win my $500 bet with Brandon. But otherwise, I hope both movies do really well. I'm glad to hear Zaslav might have taken out all the James Gunn stuff that I didn't like in the film. Appreciate you, Zazzy. Thank you. And I guess we'll just see. We'll find out together, man. We'll find out together. All right. Let me talk just a little bit about my trip. Then we'll do Q&A. Then we're going to get out of here because I got to go talk about these spoilers. I know you guys wanted it in the chat. I saw it. You wanted it in the chat. Papa's got to go make that in an individual video, okay? So let's talk about the trip. Let's do Q&A, and then I'll go knock that out for you guys. I should be able to get it out in like an hour, maybe a couple hours. Okay, so yeah, I went to New York City. And I thought I couldn't say shit about it, right? I was kind of nervous. I don't do a lot of this stuff. I don't usually, like, leave the house. And on any given day, I usually don't leave this room too much. You know what I mean? Because of what I do and stuff. So, yeah, I don't really do a lot of this kind of stuff. But I got invited to a cool thing. I found out I could say a little bit about it. And other than that, I can't say any more. But I'll say that it was involving Meta, and I went to the Meta offices in New York City, which was a trip. Very crazy, man. Those Facebook employees, they live well. You know what I mean? Like they, yeah. And I can also say that it's for a game. It's for a video game. So it's not turning me into AI. It's not, me and Zuck are doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu against like other lizard people. Like it's more that it's for a game, and I can't say much more than that. But I can say that on June 6th, at a certain time, I will be able to talk about it, and I'm probably gonna do a stream for that when I can talk about it, and I'll explain it. I'll go into more detail. But I'll say that, dude, it was an incredible experience. I was honored to have the opportunity. It was so cool that they paid for all of us to go out there. I met a lot of cool content creators. I met a lot of TikTokers, and then I met some YouTubers too, right? And then some people that kind of do both or whatever. And like, dude, y'all ever see the guy? I don't really watch TikTok, but maybe some of you guys do. Do y'all ever see the guy that like he gives every video game 60 minutes and then like he only gives them an hour and then he's going to decide and like give you his review? I don't know if you ever seen that guy. I forget the name of his channel. I think it's like I Play You Watch or something like that. But yeah, that dude was awesome. So I met a bunch of cool nerds, man, and we got to check out a certain video game behind the scenes. And that whole experience was so cool. I can't talk about the game other than to say I fucking loved it. And I was pretty skeptic of it, but I loved it. And I'll talk more about that later on. But then I'll tell you some really cool shit. Okay. So, we had that going on, and that was like an incredible experience. Then we had lunch. We hung out. Some people like demoed it a little bit more and whatnot. And then we went to lunch together, and it was just so cool to hang out with a bunch of nerds and content creators. And we talked about all sorts of stuff, like the Downey thing, the fall off of the MCU, Marvel Rivals. Like we talked about all of it. And then of course, your boy brings up Warhammer. And I was so happy that there were a couple of people there also getting into Warhammer, and we just start gushing about Warhammer, man, like super hard. And come to find out, because we're content creators, that's like why we're there, right? So I started talking to them about Warhammer Explained, my Warhammer channel, and I have that one video on there that went viral, and it's got like 800, maybe 900. I haven't checked it, but it's almost to like 1 million views. And it's like explaining Warhammer. So, dude, check this out. This was so funny. We're sitting there, and I'm talking to the guy that's like from the agency that like set this whole thing up. And I was like, yeah, like, dude, I actually have a Warhammer channel, and I have this like massive video out there that's like how it explains Warhammer for beginners. And this dude was like, oh, wait a minute, is that this video? And he like shows me on his phone the video. And I was like, yeah, dude, that's me. That's a video I made. And he's like, dude, I literally just sent that video to my buddy because I'm trying to get them into Warhammer. So I was like, no fucking way. So we start like, really connecting on that Warhammer stuff. And then basically, we all like kind of go our separate ways. And then this dude and takes me, because I don't know New York, right? Like I can't get around like that. He took me to the Warhammer store. So like we finish this thing, and then me and this dude from the agency go to the Warhammer store, like downtown, and we get in there. And dude, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm really into Warhammer. So we're in the store, and there was these kids and their parents, and they were clearly from a different country. I want to say like something either Nordic or they're like Swedish or something like that. And they're like asking me all these questions, and I'm so enthusiastic and like so knowledgeable that they thought I worked at the store. And it got to the point where the store owner had to come over and like kind of like move me out of the way so that he like could help them or whatever. And it was just like an awesome experience. So I got to like sort of network with that dude a little bit more, and he was awesome. Really great guy, and I think we'll do some more stuff together in the future. But yeah, I mean, I'll talk maybe more about it when I can, as far as the game, and then maybe I'll talk more about like the trip a little bit, like behind the scenes with you guys a little bit more. But that's like the TLDR. But man, I was grateful to go. I love New York, but I had never been obviously to like any like the Meta offices or anything like that. I don't really do that kind of stuff. So that was kind of a fun experience. It was really cool. I met a buddy of Rob's actually, which is so funny because I was trying to get Rob to go to this thing, and ended up meeting a friend of Rob's, like literally, like you know what I mean. And so that was really cool, and a lot of good networking. I can't wait to talk about this game because I think it's fucking awesome. And yeah, so it was cool. It was a cool trip, man. It was really good. And it also was just good to like, you know, go have an experience and network and meet people and not just stand or sit in this office and stream and make videos all day. That was kind of fun. It was kind of fun to get out of that loop. So yeah, had a good ass time. But of course, back to the grind, man. They did not stop dropping the news just because I had a cool trip planned. So, but there you have it, man. That's all the news. That's a little bit of the trip. And we'll talk more about it later. So let me get into the Q&A. We'll tear through these super chats, member chats, and whatnot. And then I'm going to get on out of here because I want to go make that video about the leaks, man. I'm really excited to talk about the leaks, but I don't want to do it on the stream. Okay, first today was Tim O'Brien with 5 gifted memberships. Holy, thanks, brother. Appreciate that. Prez coming in with a gifted membership as well. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Joshua says this must be an actual live stream because he's late. Yeah, no, I mean, you're not wrong. Also, how did that thing work on Tuesday, man? I did a premiere. So what happened was I woke up super early on Tuesday, and I did like a version of a live stream. I premiered it so you guys could kind of watch it and be in chat like a live stream. I heard it worked. And then I had like a video come out, and then I had clips come out too. So, yeah, I hope that worked. I hope you were still able to have at least a little bit of a show on Tuesday. And we'll be back to normal now, man. We'll be back to normal now. We'll be back at 11 tomorrow, breaking it all down, and we'll go into next week too. Rossi with a rose. Appreciate you, brother. Joshua says, why is nobody talking about this Hulk? Probably. What? Oh, probably remember Spider-Man, and they'll probably use the plot of Brand New Day. I've seen a lot of people talking about the Hulk thing, you know, and it could be that. I don't know that that's how it's going to fit into it because you obviously have to get to Savage Hulk. Right now, as far as we understand it, Hulk is like integrated with Bruce. So is Hulk even a thing right now? It's hard to say, right? But so if they're really doing Savage Hulk, they need a way to get to Savage Hulk, right? So I don't think it can be just that. It has to be something else, and then potentially that, and maybe that's a way. Like maybe Peter's like, sun's getting real low, buddy, you know? And he's like, I remember you, Peter Parker Spider-Man, you know? Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. By the way, do me a favor here. Smash the like on this stream, guys. We have less than 300 likes, and we've got over 1,000 people watching. That shit ain't right. I know we're late. I know we're going at a weird time. It ain't right. Smash a like. It ain't right. And also, if you're watching on a replay, do me a favor, smash a like too. It helps push the show out to more people. Jose Muniz, welcome to the Nerd Vengers. You are a Nerd Venger now, brother. Appreciate the support. Zach says, Josh, hope you had a good trip. Figured you've seen the Chris Hemsworth post about his journey about Thor. What are your thoughts about it going into Doomsday? Yeah, man. I mean, I had the same reaction that pretty much everybody had. Like, it seems like he's going to die. You know, it reminded me of, remember when Chris Evans did that too? Chris Evans did the same thing. And it was like while they were shooting Endgame. And it was so, I remember this because it seemed so sad, his post, that a lot of us thought Cap was going to die. And it actually made me not think that Tony was going to die. Because I was like, they're not going to kill both of them. They kind of did. I mean, Cap gets taken out, but he doesn't really die. Yeah, so it kind of, it rings the same kind of tone as when Evans did it. It really does feel like he's probably going to die. But, I guess without getting into too many crazy spoilers, technically there's a way that he could die and still be in the MCU. It's Ragnarok, basically. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's ways. But Duncan says, don't forget to sub chat. Less than 100 subs to 50K. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know we were that close to 50K. You know, we were like really close to 50K, and then I probably had like a bad take, like about Andor or something, and then we lost a bunch of subscribers. So we've been kind of like dancing around 50K for a long time. And I don't really push subscribers like that. So maybe we should. Hey, you want to help us get to 50K? I mean, dude, I want to get this thing to more than 50K. Come on, man. Hit the subscribe button. X1008, thank you for gifting a membership, brother. David says, congrats on 1K viewers. You've come so far, Grasshopper. Please never change for money interest. Developing a community is unique. Cheers to 5 years. Oh, you're right, brother. I mean, that's totally true. That's honestly the reason why I have not done ad reads for so long, is that I did want to prioritize that over community, and I've always found it a little tricky how to balance the interests of like a potential partner, whether it's like an advertiser or a company, and the community itself. But I think I'm getting the hang of it. And I will also say that I feel like a lot of companies are a little bit more open to work with content creators. Like, it feels like, you know, particularly with this agency and just, you know, in my conversations with Zach, I got the impression that they're sort of branching out with how they put together the teams of like influencers that they would want to use for these kind of campaigns. And so as long as there's not any pressure, like, so here's the thing, like, they clearly, look, they wined and dined and took us out here, and there's other stuff too. I can't talk about it. It's so I obviously am more apt to enjoy my time there, to enjoy the product, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the other thing, though, I think a lot of you guys would know that just like over the years, like, I'm really honest, and like integrity is a big thing for me. Authenticity is a big thing for me. So like, I wouldn't lie if I didn't enjoy the game. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So luckily, like, I just really enjoyed it. And you would think that, like, my impression of this was like, they know they have something here and they're trying to get it out to as many sort of potential groups as possible. So I was like, yeah, that's cool. And I get it. Like, they do have something really cool here. Mason says, I hope everyone watched their butts today. Yeah, for sure, brother. Spartan Joker, what's up, brother? Says 53 months. Holy shit. Dude, that is a long time, man. That is a long time, man. Appreciate the support, though, brother. Hope you're doing well. Scott says, can you say anything about Reed? I mean, he's real stretchy. He's real smart. He may or may not have cataloged and numbered his own universe. Based MMA says with a 5 spot, can you anything about Galactus? Hoping the third act is a banger. Can I anything about Galactus? I cannot anything about Galactus, but the third act is a banger. Zach says, I didn't know you were streaming, but I hope you had a good trip. I have to watch after work. Much love, everyone, and much love, Josh. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, I had a great trip, man. Honestly, it was fantastic. When I got back to the hotel, here's another thing I'll say about New York, though. Man, New Yorkers will be like, oh, yeah, it's really close, and then it's a 40-minute walk. Where I'm at, if I want to, like, go into the county as far away, it's 35 minutes. And that feels like a lot. And that's driving. I get in the car, and it's like 35 minutes, I'm in the county. In New York, from downtown to midtown can be like 40 minutes. Walking. Can be longer driving. I was like, man, y'all are a little wild for this. I will be honest. Y'all are a little wild. And I get the subway, too, because it's like, hell no. You want to just avoid walking as much as possible. But other than that, I had an incredible time, man. I like the city. You know, I had some good food, had some really good experiences, met some really cool people. Yeah, basically just I had this moment where when I was coming back from the Warhammer store, man, I just had this like stupid smile on my face because it was a truly great day. You know, the experience was awesome. Connecting with Zach was awesome. Going to the Warhammer store was awesome. Yeah, so I felt really good. It was a great trip. Joshua says, sometimes people think I work at Home Depot. Wait, what? Oh my God, Josh's going to be in a video game. What? Jaron says, are you more nervous for Fantastic Four or Brave New Day? 26 months of nerd avenging. I'm more nervous for Fantastic Four. I think the truth about Spider-Man 4 is, like, and I know the Nicole Kidman thing came out, and she might be the Spider Queen. Like, dude, what? Like, Nicole Kidman and the Spider Queen? Get the fuck out of here. Like, that's crazy. But, I'm more nervous about Fantastic Four. How can he not be? I mean, unless everybody else is right and I'm wrong. You know? I'm over here like, dude, these numbers don't look great. You telling me Daredevil didn't chart once? That's crazy. You know? So I'm more nervous about Fantastic Four because I think the fatigue is here now. Spider-Man's going to be next summer, and it's, number one, it's Spider-Man. When's the last time a Spider-Man movie didn't blow up? Answer, pretty much never. I mean, maybe Amazing Spider-Man 2. The other thing is, like, bro, they're supposed to be throwing the Hulk in there. They're supposed to be throwing the Punisher in here. I'm not worried about Spider-Man at all. Spider-Man sounds fucking crazy. And then I heard some other stuff you guys were talking about on the Discord. Apparently, Harloff on his show was teasing out insanity. Insanity for Spider-Man. So Spider-Man 4 all of a sudden seems ridiculous, right? So I'm not worried about that. I'm more nervous about Fantastic Four. But what I heard about it sounds really cool. Velvet Starling says, goated stream. F4 sounds insane. Nerd Avengers for life. Yeah, brother. I really like what I heard. And I'm really grateful that some people hit me up because, dude, like, I liked what was in the plot leaks, but there's stuff that's not in the plot leaks that this person told me about, right? And, dude, the stuff around Johnny seems so cool. The stuff around Franklin seems so cool. There's some stuff with Sue that I'm like, what? And then the third act that was described seems really cool, too. So, like, when I heard this, I was like, how are people mixed on this? But again, it kind of took me back to that thing of, like, maybe it's because the VFX aren't quite there. It's also possible, like, maybe it's just more comic book stuff. Like, comic book people would really appreciate it. Normies might not. I don't know. But appreciate the love, man. Thank you. Jensen says, hope you had a good trip, Josh. You should check out Planet Death by Bad Idea. Gives a lot of Warhammer vibes. Dude, the Bad Idea thing, I swear to God, I paid $200. I'm saying this and I'm seeing the irony here, but I'm pretty sure I paid $200 on the Planet or one of the Bad Idea Kickstarters, and I never got a goddamn thing from that. So I don't know what happened there. And some of you guys are like, bro, I did the same thing for your Kickstarter. Yeah, but my shit's cooking. We're working on it. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. You're eventually gonna get it. I don't know if I'm eventually gonna get this. I don't know what happened. Did I miss a survey or something? It's crazy. But anyway, I definitely feel your pain on all of that, guys. Can't believe it. Infection Gaming says, let's get to 50K, guys. Sub, let's go. Also, waiting to catch a live stream to say this. Started doing TikToks. Ooh, nice, man. So I'm going to have to change my name on here to match that. We're going to be Red Room Gaming. Ooh, I like that, man. Yeah, you know, I had a... Like I said, I sat down with some TikTokers and whatnot. It was kind of interesting to get that side of it, man. Made me think like I should be putting more time into, short form content, either shorts, Instagram Reels is apparently really crazy right now. That's what the one homie told me. So, yeah, I mean, maybe we'll have to cook on some live, short form stuff because, like, the thing is, the money's not great there, and we all kind of had this interesting consensus where, like, YouTube's the hardest one, And like everybody like tries to do YouTube, and it's like, dude, it's so fucking hard. But it also makes the most money. So it's like, it's kind of a double-edged sword where YouTube is so hard, but it's so ridiculously rewarding. TikTok is a little bit easier, and you can really find views on there and like carve out a lane for yourself. But the money itself is not great. But you can get brand deals, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. It was pretty interesting, man. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just stubborn, you know? Like maybe I'm just stubborn. I'm like, no, I do my YouTubing, but yeah. Vinny2Playa says, wait, Josh, did you see F4? Sorry, just got here. I did not see it, but I've spoken to a couple of people that have seen it. Yeah. And again, I heard a lot of cool things, man. I heard a lot of cool things. Right after I get done with this stream, I'm going to go record the video talking about the post-credit scenes. Whew. They cooked. Kendall says, if you had to choose one concept or storyline from Phase 4 or 5 content to see more of in the next phase, what would it be? You should apply for Streamer University. Much love. Using all my characters. Nice. 58 months, man. Appreciate you. Dude, Streamer University seems really... It was really entertaining, but I cannot do that stuff, man. I'm not about that, man. Like... Even the idea of like kind of constantly being on, like, dude, I want to go quiet and just read my Warhammer books. You know what I mean? And also too, like I had a great trip. Like, don't get me wrong. I had an incredible trip, but like, dude, that was a lot I didn't like about the travel. You know what I mean? Like mostly just like the swaths of humans I had to be around in some of these airports. I was like, oh, this is not super great, you know? And there's a lot of inconvenience and walking 40 minutes in New York and stuff like that. And so there's definitely, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I am going to try to travel more. I am going to try to get out there more. I am going to try to do more things. But also, dude, I'm kind of old, kind of grumpy. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I just want to, you know, I just want to be a homebody. It's easy to be a homebody, you know what I mean? And then what type of concept or storyline from Phase 4 or 5 do you want to see more of? Okay, what I would say is the Multiverse of Madness Illuminati. But like, what if that was the first moment of that movie? I was thinking about this where, what if the whole movie was Steven with the Illuminati trying to do stuff and fighting against other versions of the Illuminati and stuff? So because that was so close to the Hickman Time Runs Out stuff, I obviously would have loved leaning into that. You know what I mean? Doing that kind of shit. Matthew says, F4 is the first MCU project I have been hyped for in years. Any plans to return to Snap? Nerd Adventures for Life. I mean, I like Snap a lot. I just don't know when. There would need to be something that kind of got me hyped up to go back to it. So maybe a particular card or a new game mode or something. Rivals has me quite excited, which, by the way, tomorrow what I want to do is we'll do a straight show in 11, and then I might like end that stream, get some food, maybe go to the gym, and then I want to come back and I want to stream Rivals in the afternoon. And I want to do a big session tomorrow, like 2-3 hours, maybe 4. Maybe 5. I want to grind on some ranked, man. They're dropping Ultron. They're fixing the balance of the game. How many wins? 200 at least. 200 at least. So, yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. And as far as Snap, I don't know, man. Like there would have to be something to get me hyped. To get me hyped up. To go back to it. But anyway, I'll chill in the chat for a little bit here, guys. Any comments, questions, anything else going on? I'm going to probably get out here in just a couple minutes. Going to get out of here in just a couple of minutes. Oh man. Oh man. You're at 66 points in Silver 1. Adam wants you to walk. He thinks you're fat. I mean, I am a little bit fat. You know, it's an ongoing battle here, man. I'm trying. You know what I mean? I'm trying to thin down. Trying to thin down. It's tough when you travel, dude. Tough to eat good when you travel. You know. I meant people think I work at Home Depot when I go there. Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Like, it was kind of a funny situation where, like, the mom asked me a question and I, like, answered it. And then, like, the kid came over and, like, he was asking me questions. And then he was like, I want to start a salamander army, but I don't know, you know, what to get. And I was like, oh, well, you can paint any of these right here. You can paint them salamander style. They probably have salamander paint over here. You know, you might have to get a conversion kit. And I was like, and then like he's like asking me about all this other stuff. And it was just funny, man. I was like that guy in the store. But I love Warhammer. You know what I mean? So I get really excited about it. Jacob Stowe says, Josh, thoughts on Sydney Sweeney bathwater soap, cop or drop? Also, Nerd Vengeance for life. Well, I'm not going to cop it, but if y'all want to send it to the P.O. box, you know what I mean? Like, if y'all want to send it to the P.O. box, I'll make it weird. You know, that's, hey, it's up to you. You know what I mean? It's up, whatever you want to do. What do you want to do? What do you think about the Sydney Sweeney soap, you know? Bathtub stream. Rub in the tub. Oh boy. It is kind of, I mean, it's gimmicky, but you know, whatever. I mean, I think if what's her face can sell actual bathwater, I think we're probably okay with Sydney Sweeney doing a collab, which is probably in no way, shape, or form actually her bathwater. You know what I mean? So, and even if it were, you know, God bless you. Vinny Two Player says, Josh, do you think that the spell that made everyone forget Peter Parker could have possibly made Peter forget himself, or even affect the other Peters? I think both of those things are possible. You know, there have been some good scoopers that suggested that Peter will start to forget himself, and that would cause him to go a little dark. I like that. The thing is, it's just kind of hard to fit. In my mind, I have trouble fitting that in with a lot of the other things that are going on. Like, if Punisher's in there, would that mean then that Peter's going dark and Punisher's like egging him on? Is Punisher trying to get him to not do it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just hard to understand the dynamics of some of these things. Yeah, I know. Lou says, I'm hyped for Gunn's Superman over Fantastic Four. I know what to expect, and I like it. I don't trust Marvel has learned its lesson not to add BS and muck it up. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and especially if you're the kind of person that just likes Gunn's stuff or can accept it, you know, with Superman or whatever. Like, dude, you have every reason to be excited. I mean, I think the movie I think it looks so much better now. I think a lot of these changes sound great. Of course, you don't know. And even when people watch it, because I mean, dude, honestly, we'll probably talk about it tomorrow. I bet the screening's tonight. I bet some shit will leak out. We'll probably talk about it tomorrow, right? But even when we talk about it tomorrow, it's not like we're seeing the movie. We have to see the movie and judge it for ourselves. Screening is just other people's opinions. Now, I think that matters, and it's useful to calibrate expectations. I mean, that's why Rotten Tomatoes is a thing. That's why critics scores at all are a thing, right? So we'll see, man. I mean, I would say that I'm very excited. I'm more excited now from what is being reported. I do hope that the screening goes well. I'm hoping that there's like positive buzz, and we hear like, dude, this hits, and people just really like this new version of the film. I would love to be able to report that to you. But even if I don't, I will probably still put a little asterisk there and be like, you know, to me, this still sounds good. Like, I'm still kind of excited for this. So, you know, I've been kind of on a roller coaster ride with this movie. I think a lot of the promotion they've done recently is much better. Like, we got our first actual good look at the suit. Like, just boom. I wish that was the first look. So this marketing guy they brought in seems to have paid off because the marketing, I think, has been much better. Can it outrun Some of the drama, the division, the fandom, that's a question. Can it outrun the fatigue of the comic book movie? That's a question. But yeah, dude, I mean, I wouldn't. How could I fault you for being excited for the new Superman movie, you know? The Exodus says, joining the stream late. Don't know if you're avoiding the recent Doom stuff or not, but remember that WDW Pro said there's 2 Dooms, Viggo Mortensen stuff. Yeah, that's not true, brother. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. That's not at all. So I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but the Dooms, if there's Doom stuff to talk about, it has nothing to do with what you're talking about here. That's the best way I can say it. Now, there's some other stuff that's going on. I've been talking to some other people, and like, damn, there's some other crazy rumors that could be going on. But that's Doomsday. What we're talking about here is potentially something in Fantastic Four. Philip Hatch says, if Superman fails, is it more on Gunn or Zaz or Safran more? Well, now it feels like it's going to be a group effort, you know? Does it depend on exactly what caused it to fail? Closing it on 2 years, no Avengers for Life, W community. No. Well, look, it's opinion. You're asking me my opinion here. I'll tell you. I think at this point, if it fails, it's not all on Gunn. I think we have enough reporting to suggest, and this is ironic because Gunn's probably super mad that people are even reporting about this, but maybe he didn't realize that at the end of the day, it kind of isolates him a bit from the potential failure. You know, I mean, frankly, like, I'll be super fair about it. Of course, it's not completely on him at this point, especially if the tweaks and the lean into nostalgia feel hollow and end up feeling empty. How could that be on Gunn? You know what I mean? Like, he, of course, takes responsibility for it, but he can't have complete responsibility for it. We know, at least I know, these reports are real. There's tinkering. Like, there's some fuckery happening. And frankly, there's enough fuckery happening that, like, I will no longer consider it like completely on him if it fails. Now, ironically, a lot of other people might, because he's been so front facing on all of this, and I think he's really tried to take control of the narrative. And so I think a lot of people, if it fails, are gonna be like, well, there you go, Gunn. But at this point, like, if I'm being honest, no, it would be a team effort. It would be on Zazzy as well. C Black says F4 is not Thunderbolts. Thank you. My folks didn't know what Thunderbolts was. F4, Spider-Man 4, Doomsday, and Secret Wars, and X-Men. I would definitely buy the MCU stock. Yeah, I mean, I look. Obviously, I think Fantastic Four is a bigger brand than Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts, nobody, like you said, nobody knows it. And in fact, a lot of the characters nobody knows, man. Even Bucky. Like, we love Bucky. Bucky's like C-level for normies, right? Fantastic Four, bigger. But we're going to see. Like, we will find out if that's true, and, like, the big stuff is still going to just bring people in, right? So it's just kind of ironic because, you know, we're kind of saying, and I agree with you to an extent, that we need to go bigger, you know, with bigger draws, more noticeable, more known characters, you know, A-level, B-level characters. I agree with you, but it's ironic in a sense because Marvel was the studio that made their whole thing with non-marquee characters. I mean, Tony wasn't a big character. Thor wasn't really a big character. They turned them into big characters, right? So I hear you, brother, but it is also like, that's what Marvel used to be, you know? Friend of mine said Superman looks cheap. I mean, I could see that. I don't think it looks cheap. I did in the first trailer. I did when I had the first look of the suit. And that's another reason why I was super critical of those things, was like, it kind of gives you a bad impression. I thought it looked CW for sure, but it looks much better now. Dude, that last trailer, I didn't love that conversation, but it looked great. And you get a sense of like just the flying and like just the Superman of it all, and just like, whoa, that seems on point. And I frankly think I'll be able to enjoy that aspect of it regardless of how the movie is. Like, Superman gonna fly around and do some Superman shit? Hell yeah. My family says Superman looks goofy AF. No! Really? Are we cooked? Are both of these movies gonna bomb now? Well, we're pivoting into video games and Warhammer anyway now. So we're a video game channel now. Will Fantastic Four make $1 billion? I don't know. Hard to say. I mean, the fatigue seems real. we'll get long-range projections soon. And I do think it's kind of interesting that this test screening that potentially leaked some crazy shit is also happening before tickets go on sale. Did Marvel finally learn that the leakers are actually not fucking this up and we're actually helping? Did they finally figure it out? Do they finally not hate me? Crazy. Crazy. I promise you Warhammer will not take off. Well, H. Liddy, I don't agree, and I don't know who you are, so your promise is meaningless. But I guess thanks. Thanks for trying to take a poop in my favorite bowl of cereal. All right. With that being said, I think we got to get on out of here, man. I want to go make this video. I'll post clips to the Clips channel later tonight, and we'll be back at it tomorrow at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. tomorrow. Josh, have you seen Arc Raiders? Looks fun. It does look cool, man. It does look really fun. Maybe I'll check it out. We'll see. We'll see. All right, everybody. Much love. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. Oh, Adam says, much love to the mods in the tower today, working overtime after a couple of days off to keep the nerdy train rolling. I will also ban you if you talk shit on Warhammer starting now. And I co-sign that. Hey man, is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Oh man, I'm happy to report that after an hour and a half, I finally feel like a streamer again. I think I figured it out. It was a little rough getting back into this shit. Holy. Hey, but we got there. You know what I mean? We got there. We talked some Superman. I was so nice to Superman today. You guys don't even appreciate it, you know? I'm being so fucking nice about the Superman shit. I could have come in today and been like, oh, James, stupid ass, spiky white head motherfucker gone again. Look what he did. Look what he did. Sheesh. Anyway. Anyway, I gotta go do this leak video. This shit is hype, man. I'm actually like, I'm excited. I wanted to save it for afterwards because I was like, nah, I'm so hyped that I'll just go right into it. I'm talking right. Okay, do me a favor though. Do me a favor. You know the drill. Open up that third eye, baby. And watch out, that stinky butthole!